Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode.
Welcome back to part 2 of a 2-part episode. Be sure to go back and listen to part 1. You might have missed something. Hope you enjoy the conversation today.
I'm curious. I want to ask you a question. While we're talking about family, marriage, and all of these things in the industry, like and how they relate to the industry. What's you and Miss Karen's story? How did you guys meet, and how's that played a role for you in the shed industry? I mean, you're everywhere, and Miss Karen's, I consider her meek and quiet and just supportive. And, you're like me, you're loud and proud and out here just going everywhere 100 mile an hour and, getting stuff done and knocking things down. She just seems like the kindest, and best supporter for you.
I would say the single best. I'll get into the story a little bit because people need to know it a little bit. But the single greatest comment that I can leave about my wife is, don't let her kindness fool you into thinking it's weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And I even dare say the proper way, if I can figure out how to say this, don't think it's meekness. She is definitely 100% the closest thing to my mama as I've ever known, which is kind of crazy because they say sons marry their moms and daughters marry their dads. I don't know if you've ever heard that or not, but I was
Oh
told
yeah,
that
yeah.
a long time ago. And my simple answer to that would have been at 18 years old that, and I've said this for years, even after being married. My mama died basically 6 months after we got married. I lost my mom. But she had health problems for years already. My wife never seen my mom in her 100% true form. But my wife will tell you in a heartbeat that there was not a more loving, more sweet, more gentle soul on earth than my mama. And all her sisters will tell you that. Everybody that knew Leah Byler would say that she never had a bad word for anybody. She never said anything bad about anybody. And the closest thing that I found on this earth to my mama is my wife. Now, that does not mean at all that they cannot hold their own, because they can. My mama held her own with my daddy many a time. When the still waters run deep and speak soft and carry a big stick, that all fits my wife to a T. And I love her dearly for it. Lord, I can't even think where I'd be today I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my wife. We weren't quite as young as y'all were when we started dating, but we were young. And we dated for 2 years, and I got married 6 weeks after I turned 19.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, married young, basically grew up together. Both of us did. She came from a complete different background than I was used to, and same for me to her. But we learned how to do life together. We learned we learned how to deal with humans, with each other, and
Yeah.
it's we still have our days. It's still a work in progress. It's not like, oh man, I can't wait till I turn 50 years old and I just love my wife every day just because of who she is. It's nope. We were talking about it the other day about how it still takes a lot of work to make it work. And, we still mess up. We still get it wrong some days. But there is nobody on the face of the earth that I'd rather do life with. And, 35 years coming up in November. And we were together for 2 years before that. So 37 years. It seems crazy. It doesn't even seem possible.
Congrats, man. It's a great thing. And Yeah, man, I just I don't know. Definitely thankful. Um, we too have had to see lots of different versions of ourselves and learn how to deal with people. And the word that I usually give, um, at least, yeah, in my opinion, the word that I like to give people whenever they're asking about relationship advice, and I don't necessarily get asked all the time, but when I do, I like to tell them compromise. Compromise is one of the biggest words, in the 25 years that we've been together, 29 years that we've been together overall. I have learned that compromise is definitely one of the keys to relationship, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is, you know, you're two different people and you're two different versions of yourself over uh, different decades, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. You're different. You grow into different people and different roles. And one, you have to make a steady effort to come back together. Not it doesn't happen once and you're done. You've got to continue to make the effort every day. But compromise too. There's times that we used to get into an argument on a Friday night, and I might be right on this one. And I just thought, man, I got to hold on to it. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Nate Bargatze. He's one of my favorite comedians. He's a clean comedian out of Nashville, and he talks about it's one of my favorite things. He talks about one fell swoop. He said my wife used the term one fell swoop one time, and I couldn't understand why she used it. She never uses it, but it's like she heard the word. Now all of a sudden she's using it every time you turn around. I'm one fell swooping everywhere we go. He says, "Here's what we're going to do because they got all these different they got all these different family events they got to go to because of divorces and stuff for Christmas." And she says, "We're going to go here, do this, do that, whatever. We're going to do it all in one fell swoop." And he said, "I don't think it means what you think it means. That's not one fell swoop. It would be all at once." And we're talking about going here, coming back, going here, coming back. And he said she just, she fought me on this. And he said, but I really felt right. And they went to bed angry at each other. And he said, well, I can't just have you out here one fell swooping, saying it the wrong way to everybody. You got my last name. He's hilarious if you watch him. But he said, we don't apologize as married couples who have been together for a long time. There's two things that happen if you ever notice. And his version was he said, she just came over and gave me a kiss before we went to bed. And I just kind of took that as like the argument's over. It's time to go to bed. We should go to bed and just be done with it. And he said, but I really felt like I had this one in the bag. So he said, I walked in the room and said, well, it's just not what it means.
Oh boy.
I thought, you idiot, And he laughed, of course, and made a joke. And he said, my marriage almost ended in one fell swoop.
No kidding.
Introducing the Challenger, the revolutionary new shed mover that's taking the industry by storm. The Challenger features a touchless design, ensuring it only makes contact at the end of the skids and the bottom of the floor joists, so rest easy knowing your gable walls will remain pristine. Worried about reliability? Fear not, the Challenger is always up for the challenge and will not overturn or scuff your shed. Harness the power of innovative wireless technology. Remotely control the Challenger via your smartphone. No cell service needed. And guess what? The cell phone remote comes standard with every Challenger at no extra cost. Featuring floating forks, a 4-directional tilting mast, and sliding weight transfer, move the shed weight precisely where you need it to get ultimate traction. With self-loading capability, straight onto your truck, say goodbye to the need for a hydraulic carriage. The Challenger makes your job easy and more efficient. Choose from 2 machine sizes, 10,000 pounds and 15,000 pounds. Perfect for any job. Visit www.shedchallenger.com or email us at info@shedchallenger.com or call or text 828-220-3508 for more information. Experience the future of shed moving with the Challenger.
I used to, if I felt about my one fell swoop argument, I would drive it home like Nate would, and it was Friday night. And the next thing I know, we're arguing all the way into Sunday. And
Yep.
I think what I've learned now, and time creates wisdom, I guess, whether we want it to or not, because there's times now that even if I'm right on something, I will choose peace over
Oh,
being right. And I will go to her and I will say, I don't want to argue all weekend whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. I value this relationship and I love you more than this argument. And I love this weekend we have together more than this argument. So whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, I'm sorry. And I want to have a good weekend with you because I don't want to argue. Um, and that's changed everything. I
yeah.
mean, that changes so much. There's a maturing there that's so necessary. Back in the day, I would have been like, no, no, I'm right on this. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving my position away on this. And when
I
you learn
learned,
that lesson, it's important.
I learned a long time ago that if I just wait, I'll be right later and it'll all be all right anyway.
Just let it play out, right? Let
Yeah,
it
just
play out. And you never
just
have to look at her and say, was I right? You'll
yeah.
just know, huh?
Disclaimer, that's the funniest joke tonight yet. I'm never right.
Mm.
Sometimes if I just let it go and wait 6 months, I'll find out she's right anyway.
Yeah, my favorite thing is my wife's ability to see things that I don't see when I'm arrogant enough to think that I've got the answers and got things figured out. And she sees things that I'm not able to see. I think that's why it takes a team effort. I think people will identify with this podcast who work in our industry because you have to work together to figure it out, don't you? Whether you're in manufacturing, whether you're in hauling,
Yeah.
whether you're in sales, especially
Yep.
those who have to travel, for extended periods of time. It takes real effort to make a relationship work, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you cannot do this business without relationships.
Yeah.
So, um, if you're a big enough company to where you don't have to have B2B relationships, you have to have E to E relationships.
Everyone to
Employee,
everyone. Oh,
yeah, everyone to everyone, employer to employee. You could say, well, I'm not going to have relationships with my rent done. I'm not going to have relationships with my haulers. I'm not going to have relationships with a manufacturer because I'm just going to do it all in house myself. Well, you're going to have to build relationships with those people, um, because mercy. Can you imagine? You get up in the morning, you build your own shed, you sell your own shed, you haul your own shed, you do your own rent done, you pick it back up, you sell it.
yeah, you got to have the relationships.
You got
What
to
do
have
you
relationships.
what do you see, Sam? Um, you've been in and around the industry for a long time. Anything particular in now March of 2025 that creeps up on your radar, directions that the industry's going, some kind of like amazing insight? Do you think it's just a status quo? Do you think there's a lot of change happening or getting ready to happen? That's one of the biggest questions I get. Probably the most common question I get from one place to the next is, what are you seeing out there? What does your crystal ball kind of tell you? What does it look like? The direction is for things going. You have any like magical insight tonight? Anything that's just tickling your brain there for like the direction of the industry versus what it was, maybe the next 5 years, what we should expect?
Yeah. So, a couple of years ago, we threw around the word collaboration, and then we threw around, um, what was that word? It's almost like collaborate, but
Like
not like
acquisitions or
acquisitions. There you go.
yeah.
Acquisition, what I was looking for. So every year I kind of try to come up with what I see or whatever. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to sound bad. And I don't mean it as a bad thing. I'm just saying this is what I see. And I think it's a good thing. But the grind, um, I see a grind coming that goes through probably most of next year, even when some of us are just going to have to buckle down and, just accept that it might get a little tough. It might get a little hard. I'm not saying it from a negative point of view whatsoever, but just be willing, to be content in the grind. Embrace the suck. I don't know if you've ever heard that or not, but
Yeah.
it's a little hard for me because I'm constantly wanting to move, I think is the word. I'm not cool with just holding still. And I kind of pick up on that a little bit from just different areas of it, not just in manufacturing, not just in hauling, not just in rent to own, but I kind of gathered that everybody's just a little bit I wish the bash was next week instead of in October.
Hello, Shed and Carport industry. I'm Cord Cook, Chief Brand Strategist here at Shed Geek Marketing. Did you know that Shed Geek Marketing works with 45 shed companies and counting? And we are not slowing down in 2025. One of the neat benefits to working with Shed Geek Marketing is working with an agency as opposed to just an individual. When you work with Shed Geek Marketing, you have a team of professionals working diligently to ensure your success. From branding guidelines and brand books to websites, Google and Meta tag tracking that measures the traffic to your website and social media pages, CRM setup and full automation build-outs, lead funnel integration, and so much more. Worried about whether or not we can serve you? Don't be. Shed Geek Marketing works with manufacturers ranging from $1 million a year in sales up to $80 million a year in sales. There is no manufacturer too big or too small. Remember, marketing is an investment that should be making you money. That's why nearly 50 companies have decided to work with Shed Geek Marketing. So for more information, go to www.shedgeek.com and submit some basic information, and we'll reach out with a discovery call and patiently walk you through how we can best serve you. Thank you for your time and look forward to working with you.
I want to get everybody together and throw a big party. Except I don't want it just for haulers. I want it for haulers, rent to own, manufacturing, sales guys. I just feel like everybody's stuck in a grind a little bit. And some of these guys that are influencing me right now have had crazy good January and Februarys already. The Southeast especially, because I don't care what they say. I don't care if they blame it on marketing or sales or whatever, but this storm, Helene, took out so much infrastructure in every aspect of living we know, including storage and sheds and tiny houses, that to replace all of that back is an industry in itself right now. And I'm not talking about just Western North Carolina. I'm talking about Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, up into Kentucky. And now we've had more flooding and more, buildings destroyed through the flooding again in West Virginia and Kentucky, some down into Tennessee. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news or not, but South Carolina even, we had 178 wildfires.
I saw that. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And, through that, there's more destruction in, I don't know. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of just stuck there. I'm like, just be happy. Be happy in the suck for the time being, because, and for me personally, I don't know where I'm headed in the next 6 months. I would have said I would have said I'll easily still be involved in the shed industry from the inside, which is what I call us. We're insiders. And now I'm looking at decisions that have to be made as to still being involved in the shed industry, but not as an insider. And it's like, what does that even look like?
Mm-hmm. Well, the comfort is something that we all want. We want good years, the great years, and things are going good and things are coming easy. But that's not reality. That's not for most folks. That's not typically the case. Like, everything is not always sunshine and bright skies and things like that. There's a whole my family, it certainly didn't feel that way growing up. And I think we've been blessed to have it better than our family.
Hmm.
Um, and there's still been roads of despair, dire straits, depression, anxiety, trouble financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically. I mean, there's been all of these things, and I feel like I've had it better than my folks who had it better than their folks.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, and comfort is something that we all crave, but I'm not sure if comfort's what we're promised. I mean, I think you still got to get up and you got to put your work boots on, and you got to go to work no matter what you're doing. If you're sitting at a computer working away, or if you're in a truck, or if you're swinging a hammer, whatever it is you're doing, I think we're still supposed to do that with everything that we have. And I think that if you're following the Lord's path that you're supposed to be on, I think that's going to be evident for you. You're going to know, or you're going to know that you're not doing it, one or the other. And
Yep.
the really unique thing is he does put us in. I still feel called to be in this industry. There's still many things in my life that I'm, equally as passionate about, and something that me and you both are similar on, and that's prison ministry. Hebrews 13:3, be with those in prison as though you're in prison yourself, and even the downtrodden, those that are without. I got a podcast coming up you're going to love. It's kind of going to remind me a lot of this podcast with me and you today. I went to my buddy Joe Ignis out of Knoxville. He's one of our advertisers on our newsletter. Go check it out, buy his stuff, all that good stuff. But go. I went with Joe. Me and Joe have been friends for some time. He's been on the podcast several times, and some of his employees have as well. Real good sales guy and all this. And he had an event down in Knoxville, and I went to it, and I got a chance to hear some testimonies there that just blew my socks off. And we're going to have a gal on the podcast here before too long named Kelly on the Wednesday show. And her testimony is just tremendous. And I said, I don't know if my viewers will appreciate that we're not on here just talking about sheds and maybe the cosmetics of the sheds, the manufacturing and structural integrity of the sheds, the aesthetics, or the challenges of delivery and manufacturing and sales and marketing. It's really just her story. And I haven't really talked about this yet. And I'll drop a little small nuclear bomb here. But even what you've been doing out in Western North Carolina and being inspired by the giving mentality that is Sam Byler. I always say you got the biggest heart out of anybody that I know. And this gal has a project called, maybe have to tell you on that show, the widowed something or another, but and that's kind of part of her story. And one of the reasons I want to have her on here is I feel pretty strong about this, but I want to check. But I really feel like we've been looking for there's plenty of opportunity, Sam. There's just what you guys are doing out there in North Carolina. There's more opportunity than you can do in a lifetime. So not dismissing what you're doing by any means, but I felt really, really called and obligated to hear her story further, and to maybe even consider like some kind of official campaign around her nonprofit and the story that she's got in helping people. And I think I've told you this. We're trying to write a book, a children's book,
Hmm.
and I want to take half of those proceeds and donate it towards something. And there's plenty of things in the shed industry and associated with to give, but I felt so moved by her story that
Hmm.
I just, when I don't know how to explain it, but I want to talk with her further and see if we can launch some kind of like official campaign around like her mission work and what she's trying to do for orphans and widows and things like that. It was amazing. But you said something that I want to touch on, and then I'll shut up because it's easy for me to chat. You said, who knows, even in 6 months. And I kind of wanted to talk about, even the podcast, even the fun day Fridays that Sam is doing, and what that will look like. You've been great, man, just coming on doing the podcast, and one of my favorite things is that you're still the most listened to podcast I've ever had in 4 years. And I thought, man, surely people want to hear from the guy because they certainly listen to him. And this has just been fun. We've already been at this. I don't know if you realize this, but we've been at this 7 months.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
July was the launch, and we kind of talked about
Recordings. We were recording 2 months before that already.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, the time comes quick. But asking people to continue to be on and provide content at that level, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
To ask you guys to do that, but it does mean a lot that you do. But we're talking about maybe winding it down near the end of August,
Yeah.
unless God changes something or puts some
Yep.
kind of like stay in
Yep.
the middle of that. So I just want to encourage people first and foremost, if you want to get an interview with Sam Byler, it's time to do it because we've got about 6 months left
Yep.
for him to join us here. And
Yep.
call us, sit down with us, call us, info@shedgeek.com. You got
Yep.
Sam's number, give him a call, tell him, hey, let's sit down and do an interview, tell our story. But we'll see where it goes. I mean, we'll see where Sam goes. There's no telling, right? In 6 months what it holds. So
Unlock the power of productivity with Cardinal Leasing. Are you looking to elevate your business operations with top-tier equipment? Look no further than Cardinal Leasing. We offer a wide range of reliable and high-quality equipment tailored to meet your unique needs. Flexible leasing options. Whether you need short-term rentals or long-term solutions, our customizable leasing plans are designed to provide maximum flexibility and affordability. Conventional financing available. Cardinal Leasing also offers great conventional finance options for those of you that prefer that over-lease purchase options. Expert support. Our team of experienced professionals is here to guide you every step of the way, ensuring a seamless leasing experience. Boost efficiency. With our top-of-the-line equipment, you can enhance productivity, reduce downtime, and achieve your business goals faster. Why choose Cardinal Leasing? Competitive rates, exceptional customer service, hassle-free process, quick and easy approvals. Don't let outdated equipment hold you back. Partner with Cardinal Leasing today and take your business to the next level. Contact us now. Visit our website at equipment.cardinalleasing.us or call us at 618-803-4086 to get started.
Oh man, there's so much stuff out there right now. I don't know. I used to always, so I've always done, storm response work. Love doing it, but it's always been like it's not even a secondary thing. It's not even third. It's more fourth or fifth or sixth on the list of what I do. And this time around, the momentum we've built off of this one, and the people that, all the little bobbling heads that, and I don't mean that derogatorily. I'm just saying all the voices that are speaking up that, I've got guys telling me I could solve the homeless problem in the US. And I'm like, all I hear is a lot of work. And they're like, dude, with the momentum you have and the connections you have, if anybody could do it, you could do it. And you're cut out to do it. It's what you're called to do. And I'm like, man, I don't know who you guys are talking to, but it ain't the same dude I'm talking to. And then you sit back and you're like, what if they're right? What if it's something you're supposed to be doing? What if it's something that you should be looking into that your calling isn't? I mean, when you stop and think about it, it wouldn't be that hard to do. It's like, we have literally in less than 5 months, actually considering the fact we didn't really start until the 1st of November, December, January, February, 4 months flat. We put 533 sheds on the ground, and we've probably got 50 sitting there right now that are ready for delivery. I need more haulers. And I've got another commitment to, I don't know, some of these guys are committed to still sending me some more. We'll probably get to 600 fairly easy. And, and when you start taking those numbers and you start thinking about, okay, so what if we had 10, 12, 15 regional hubs, to where the sheds from Maine wouldn't come to here anymore. They would go into Philly or into, somewhere around New York City or, wherever it's at. And all of a sudden you start doing 10 here and you start doing 10 over there and you start doing, and it's like, wow, you can make a really big difference. So I don't know. I don't know where we're going. I do like the idea that we're both cool with the idea that we can wrap this up at the end of August. And then if all of a sudden something changes, we're both good with that too.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm good with that either way. I could, currently right now, I could see the end of August wrapping up and being good with it. If all of a sudden everybody's like, hey, wait a minute, we want to hear more from him, and they're willing to do the interviews, I'll be honest. I love doing them. I absolutely love doing the podcasts. Enjoy every minute of it, hearing everybody's stories and stuff. I do not enjoy having to thump on people to try to get them to do an interview. I've got 4 or 5 haulers right now that will never probably listen to this, but if they do, that have told me they'll do interviews, but they won't give you the time to do them. And it's like, you know what? Just step up and do one. And everybody that does them, when they're done, they're like, oh, that was cool. I actually enjoyed doing it. And there's a couple of them that if we're going to, if I am going to wrap up at the end of August, I got to get a couple follow-ups done and make sure we get those in, because I want to come back and say, hey, here we are a year later. Is it doing what you said it was going to do? Have you landed where you wanted to land? What's it look like? Definitely want to follow up on some of those. But the fact that you and I can be cool with it, hey, you know what? We can wrap this up. If something crazy happens, we'll keep going. Or,
yeah,
maybe I come in and do one every 6 months. Maybe I come in and do one every 6 weeks, or whatever that looks like. I love it. I'm perfectly fine with that.
We've had a hit or miss response. They say fear of public speaking is actually the 5th highest fear among most people. And I tell people, whether you're afraid of speaking or not, you do it every day now anyway. And if you're a salesperson, you do it as a career. So, fear of speaking is good in the sense that you're afraid to speak in most cases because you want your message to be received. And I've always heard if you're preparing for a speech and you're nervous, it means you haven't prepared enough. But we take a different approach here at the podcast. We're blue jeans and t-shirts and work boots. Like we haven't organized this in such a way yet, and maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know, to where it's extremely white collar and without all my ums. We don't edit all of those out. I used to think, oh, it sounds so stupid, all these ums. I said 154 times my first podcast. And I'm like, you know what? Even if we edit it out, if someone met me, I'm going to say and 154 times in an hour. And that's how I sound anyway. And I learned to sort of just be okay with that. But I admit, even whenever I get asked to speak at an event, I always tell people there's the nerves are there because of the accountability. But honestly, we're telling people stories is the way I look at it. We can talk about things that you talk about sitting around a shed hauler table at a barbecue, or sitting on a Pine Hill trailer at the Shed Expo. You know what I mean? Those are the conversations we're looking to get. And do something that promotes the general welfare of the industry as a whole. Education through entertainment. Have fun, laugh, joke. Don't take yourself so serious. Get on here and add content and value. And I think, Sam, you operate as an excellent host. And yeah, if God changes that platform and says, "Hey, let's get more." But we've just had a mixture. When we first started the podcast, I got a ton of people emailing me saying, "Hey, I'd like to be on. I'd like to be on." We still get a fair share of that, but I have found that yes, typically you got to reach out to folks. If I'm going on a trip or if I'm doing this or that, I think some folks have told me this. Well, I'm not really nobody. I don't got nothing to say, and I'm like, oh, I'm excited about that because
That's
that's
a big one.
probably going to be the best podcast.
Yeah.
When they get lost in the moment of just chatting and they realize, wait a minute, this isn't it's a professional interview, but this isn't like we're not dressing this up. I'm not asking you a bunch of questions. I don't expect you to preload your thoughts, and you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like come across, super, super crisp and clean on every little detail. We're humans, and we're humans here on the podcast. So we'll edit out something if you really feel like it's something you didn't want to say, or you felt like you sounded stupid on something. I sound stupid all the time, so there'd be a lot of editing for me.
I'm same here. If I'd ever start editing, I wouldn't have any episodes left. So
True story.
you won't. You learn to let it roll. I learned that a long time ago when we started doing recordings with music and recordings with some of the prison ministry stuff we were doing. I talk funny. It's just a given. And I've just got to where, you know what, I just embrace it. Nobody can talk like Sam Byler. That means nobody can mimic him. So there should never be any issues there. It is what
Yeah.
it is. You just learn to deal with it. It's fine. So yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I'm good. It's going to be exciting to see what happens. We're actually talking about maybe exploring, going back to what I had originally planned on doing 4 years ago. And, I have a YouTube channel. And 4 years ago, we had it all set up and we were ready to roll with that thing and see where it goes. And, I got completely sidetracked and went way off another direction, which was fine, totally fine. But now I got guys saying, hey, you really need to get back, and if you're going to keep doing what you're doing, we got to start doing this and that. And I'm like, I don't know. There again, I'm the last guy that should have a YouTube channel.
no, you're wrong. You're definitely the guy that would be excellent to just follow around and
Well, we would have had an episode today that I promise you would have made them Louisiana boys look just silly. Because when you got screwdrivers flying around in circles and somebody's trying to stop them, and don't even get me started.
all the more reason why it would work really well, and I would definitely watch it. And no, I think it'd be great. And more than anything, I don't know. I'm grateful for the friendship that we've had, the different times that our careers have kind of connected on different points and things like that. I've always said that you were one of the first people I was drawn to. I was in the industry for quite a while before I knew who you were, so it wasn't really until Facebook and your Facebook lives and things like that where I really got to know you. And then there was that whole time that I reached out to you and you ignored me for 2 years. Uh,
I think that was the other Sam Byler.
it probably was. It probably was.
I got a big day tomorrow. I have a fully finished 18 by 40 cabin that's going to require 2 to 3 meals to get it delivered. Way back in the sticks and down a dirt lane. With all the rain we've had lately, it's going to be a mess. Well, it needs a bigger mule.
Well, when you talk, Cardinal listens, and you asked for it. With its diesel-powered 69-horse engine and capacity to move 40,000-pound sheds, the Mule 9069 is ready to turn your big days into just another day in the good life.
Ah, that's right. You're talking about the one they had up in Michigan at the shed show. That monster mule, that thing was awesome.
That's right. It's the one you've seen at all the Shed Holler barbecues.
Man, yeah, there's nothing like a little diesel donkey to make my day go so much better.
But I genuinely enjoy talking to you every chance we get, and I always feel like it's conversation that feeds me. And I really like that we could sit here and talk on this podcast today and kind of brag on our wives and family and things like
Yep.
that. And not have to talk about the maybe people want to hear about the nuance of sales and marketing and hauling and building and manufacturing and all this. And you know what? Maybe somebody just wanted to hear that is a story about family, because that's ultimately what this is all for. I work for my family.
And my goodness, if the two of us can make it work, anybody out there can make it work. Maybe somebody need to hear it just to know that it's worth sticking it out, and then they're not the only dummies out there trying to get through it. Because I promise you, if Shannon Latham and Sam Byler can figure out how to make the whole marriage thing work happily, then there's hope for everybody.
I'll tell you what. Was it Albert Einstein that got divorced? And somebody told me, they said, if the smartest guy on earth can't make it work, how's there any hope for the rest of us? And I just laugh at stuff like that. But the truth is compromise. I gotta be honest with you.
Yep.
I had to lose a lot of myself.
Yep.
And I say that not so that should sound so like I just lost myself and I'm just a blubbering
no.
idiot and I just do everything she says. I mean, I do, but in reality, we both have our parts that we play, and she's had to sacrifice a lot too to be with me. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
She's had to compromise a lot because I'm
Yep.
no perfect person by any means. So she has been a great pillar in terms of being able to be someone I can lean on and count on when times are rough and things like that. So I've
Yep.
really enjoyed the episode, just being able to talk about that. I don't know how long we've went. I don't know if this is a one-parter or two-parter, but I still enjoy the conversation.
Yep, we'll leave that up to your son over there to figure that out. I will
Yeah.
say this, I've got one coming up that I promise you will not want to miss. We'll make sure we keep it chronologically in order. But I've got one coming up with a fella that I met soon after we started putting sheds into Western North Carolina. He caught us completely out of the blue when we were dropping one of the first loads of the Amish, the Laniker boys out of northern Indiana. When they brought those big loads in, Zach Smothers come in with that. I forget, he had six sheds on one load, I think. We dropped them there in Barnardsville, and they met a guy named Jeremy Barker, and Jeremy Barker does Facebook Lives every day. He did a Facebook Live with those sheds there and stuff. And I was like, who in the world is this guy that's trying to take over our whole operation up there? What is going on? And this dude is nothing but straight heaven sent, not just for me, but for Western North Carolina and for the shed industry, and that for what we're doing up there. Been an incredible blessing and help. And he's from the tile industry, bath tile, showers and plumbing, stuff like that. And he's almost the same thing in the tile industry as what I am in the shed industry. And I'm going to get him on here. Somebody led him into the hauler page. It wasn't me. I wasn't the one that let him in. But somebody let him in the hauler page, and he loves the Shed Hauler Brotherhood. Absolutely just loves them to death. And I'm going to get an interview with him, and when I do, it's going to be a crazy one. So whatever you do, when you see that interview come up with Jeremy Barker, believe you me, it's going to be a good one. We're going to have a blast.
Well, I look forward to it. I always look forward to it, Sam, the conversations, opportunity. I know we plan on getting down there to Texas to the I don't know, are you calling it biannual? I don't know, every 18 months. I don't know what the
So we can't call it annual or biannual.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking forward to getting down there to the Shed Haulers Bash, and it'll be in Texas this year.
Are you going to make the Oklahoma 4-state barbecue?
I should. I was talking to Travis the other day, and I definitely plan on being there. I'm trying to get me and Deanna's trying to get a lot of our travel coming up in the next several months because we want to try to spend a month or two at home in the summer
Yep.
this year. But we're talking about we've got a North Carolina, New York, and then I'm wanting to go to North and South Dakota. I want to go into possibly Minnesota. I'm not sure. That's a lot of territory, so it depends on how
Yep.
long we're out. But
Yeah.
I'd like to spend some time in all three of those states. If there's any shed haulers,
Yeah.
builders, salespeople, if you got a product that is or a service that is specific to the shed industry, let me know. I'd love to swing by whenever we get out there. So
Cool.
Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. That's our plan for this year, at least in the spring, early summer. But yeah, our plan is to get out there to Oklahoma in April as well.
So my tentative plan is to be there. I've got some details that have to work out yet, but we're actually taking a family trip out to South Texas right around that same time. And then I'm meeting up in Central Texas with the Texas barbecue guys to do some planning for the bash stuff. And then ideally, I would like to sneak up there. Ideally, I'm not sure. I don't have all my details worked out yet, but ideally, I would like to sneak up for the for the barbecue and then get my family back home. So I'm not sure yet, but it's kind of,
I,
we're
I
leaning
try to
toward.
make them all. I try to make them all. I even try to support them all to some extent. You know, it's hard to give to every area and every direction, and but we do our best. So we may just have to change the way we, operate some of that. But I can promise you, we want to be a supporter. Just the same as everyone else. We've been very blessed with our marketing, our rent to own, and our finance efforts. We got a couple things more that we're launching from the Shed Geek brand, or at least I don't even want to say launching. I don't want to say too much. I'm under some NDAs here. So, but we got some things that we're working out that we want to, grow the brand. And I think at the end of the day, we want to help people. My son got me a book that says, "Dad, I want to know your story." And we in that book, we get to write different things about who we are, and it's just something to leave behind for him. And I thought it was
Nice.
an excellent Christmas present from him, and it's really challenged my thoughts. But one of the things today that I was supposed to write down is what my favorite quote is. And I chose the quote, the Zig Ziglar quote, to help others get what they want so you can get what you want. And that's kind of become just the song of my life, if you will, is to help others be successful. I typically live off of the residual effects of that, but you can never go wrong helping others. You
Nope.
just can't. It's just I've never had it backfire on me to help others. It's you believe in a God in heaven, and you believe that He is for us. I think part of that is essential that He wants us to be for each other too, and He wants us to help each other. I think that's why we're on this rock,
100.
is to help each other. And
Yep.
we've been able to be very successful in 4 years of doing that. We want to be more successful, not just so that we can brag on our success, but so that we can brag on Him. And I've said before, if He gives me $1 billion, and maybe that means He wants me to be charitable, if He just wants to give me a simple salary and have me take care of my family, maybe that's the focus He has on us.
Yep.
Whatever it is, it doesn't matter at the end of the day because it's His and not mine. So whatever wealth I think that I've generated, it is just to be a willing vessel to do the work that He's put me here to do anyway. So I wrote that quote down because I truly believe that's become part of my mission in life is just to help others. Me and you, I think, are similar in that way. We just go about it different ways. Maybe we take different routes to get there, but that's okay.
Yep.
I still say you got the biggest heart of anybody that I know. I'm super happy to have you on here hosting a podcast. I look forward to the next 6 months. And I want people to call in, text, email, fill out a lead form on the website, whatever you got to do. I want to get some more interviews, not only with myself, but with Sam Byler. And let's just see where this thing goes. And who knows if this ends in August, I've really, really contemplated trying to get a host in the post frame space.
Yes.
We've got
Yep.
the Steel Kings taken care of Monday now, and they're really focusing on the steel side of the industry. We're taking
Yep.
care of sheds. it'd be nice to have a post frame person out there who's a personality who really knows a lot about it, and could host a podcast to help bring stories and different things to the forefront. That would be awesome. The shed sometimes becomes the common denominator in all of these things, Sam. So we don't mind to host it here on our platform, but we're just thankful. We're thankful for the whole industry and what you've done, embracing us, even those who've challenged us, or even those of you who don't like us. We love you back anyway.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree.
Anything else you got, my friend?
No, I'm good. We're crazy busy right now, still trying to we'll never I'm back to my clam starfish story, that you can't get them all, but the ones you can get, you can make 100% difference to them. So that's what we're still focused on. There's some big questions out there as to how far and how long that goes. And I've always said, as long as people keep giving me sheds, and as long as haulers keep showing up and delivering them, I'll keep going. And I keep wondering every week, is this it? Is this the week I won't get any haulers? Or, is it going to be next week? So if anybody out there wants to, if you have any interest whatsoever in coming and getting the huge blessing of being involved in helping change people's lives, we still need sheds, and we still need guys to deliver sheds, because I'm still focused on doing it professionally. I'm still focused on doing it with the right guys, the right equipment. I'm not letting just anybody with a flatbed show up and pick up our sheds and deliver them. I want the shed industry involved. And right now, it's a challenge, because I've probably got 50 sheds sitting there right now that we could get out. By the time this episode comes out, who knows? I might have more than that even. So there's a huge opportunity to be able to come and be involved doing what you're already doing. You don't have to bring a chainsaw. You don't have to bring a skid steer. You don't have to come frame a house, hang sheetrock, or all that. There's people that still just need a place to where they can be secure until they get all that stuff. So,
Sam,
if you're
definitely
good.
Yeah, I'm good. I definitely appreciate your heart. I love kind of the way the conversation went today. We didn't have any plans necessarily. We wanted to get on here and talk.
You said something about your anniversary. It's like, this needs to be talked about before we end this. So
how family is affected in the industry is as important a conversation as any, and who knows, we could go down so many roads. But I hope the listeners receive it today, because it's sure been fun. And we don't talk just because we're bored, but we wanted to get on and talk about the shed industry, and who knew that family would be the topic of that.
So anyway, as Shannon said a little bit ago, reach out to him, info@shedgeek.com. You can reach me at sam@shedgeek.com. Both of those are still available. You're on Shed Geeks on Facebook. Shannon Latham's on Facebook. Sam Byler's on Facebook. You can reach us through that. Feel free to reach out to us. Would love to hear from you. And I know Shannon would too. So anyway, without further ado, thank you guys for joining us once again, for hanging out with us at the Shed Geek podcast. Friday Fun Days with your host, Sam Byler, Sambassador style, signing off. We'll see y'all next week.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford in sunny Union Grove, North Carolina, and we want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners.